Meet at 9 a.m. on a day off? Screw that. And with that in mind, I pedaled away on my bicycle toward the station, bemoaning how pathetic I was. Kiriguchi Station is located in the center of the city and is also a central terminal for the train system. On weekends, it tends to be packed with bored young people. Most of them are on their way to larger cities. It's the only place to go around the station would be the shopping mall. It's still a big enough crowd to make me think about how each person in the mob has his or her own individual life. I illegally, parked my bike in front of the closed bank and reached the North Ticket Gate 5 minutes before 9. Everyone had already gathered in silence. "Late! Penalty!" she said, looking at me. "I got here before 9. "It doesn't matter if you aren't late. The last person here gets penalized. That's my rule." "News to me, 'cause I just came up with it," Haruhi said with a cheerful look on her face, wearing a long brand name t-shirt and a knee-length denim skirt. "So buy everyone something to drink." Haruhi, standing with her hands on her hips in a casual attire, felt 100 times more approachable than when she was in the classroom with a sour look on her face. Bemused, I ended up nodding. Following Haruhi's instruction to decide on a plan of action for the day, we headed towards a cafe. Asahina was dressed in a white sleeveless one-piece dress with a light blue cardigan over it. Her hair was gathered back by a barrette, and the way it made her hair bounce up and down as she walked was quite charming. Her smile had an air of a little lady dressing like an adult. She also carried a fashionable purse. Koizumi stood next to me, dressed quite formally in a pink shirt with a brown sports jacket. He even had a dark red tie on. Kind of depressing, but I have to admit he looked sharp. Plus he's taller than me. Yuka Nagato silently brought up the end of the line, wearing her familiar sailor uniform. It seemed like she'd been completely turned into an SOS Brigade member, but wasn't she supposed to be in the literary club? After hearing that crazy speech in her apartment the other day, I was even more concerned about the lack of expression on her face. But why was she wearing her uniform on a day off? Our puzzling group of 5 entered the cafe through the revolving door and sat in the back. We gave out our respective orders to the waitress, except for Nagato, who stared at the menu with unfathomable intensity, but without any expression on her face, and couldn't seem to make up her mind. After enough time had passed to make a cup of instant ramen, "Apricot," she announced. "I'm the one paying anyway." This was Haruhi's plan. We would now split up into 2 groups and search the city. If one group found mysterious phenomena, it was to contact the other group via cell phone while continuing the search. Then regroup at the meeting spot and discuss what to do next. That was all. "Let's draw for it then." Haruhi took 5 toothpicks from the container on the table and marked 2 of them with a pen she borrowed from the cafe and held them towards us with only the heads sticking out for us to draw. I drew marked. Asahina also drew marked. The other 3 drew unmarked. So these are the groups. For some reason, Haruhi alternated glares between Asahina and me before sticking her nose in the air. "Kyon, this isn't a date. Be serious about it, understand?" "I know." I guess I was looking a little pleased with myself. Lucky me. Asahina held one hand against her flushed cheeks as she stared at the gaze at the tip of her toothpick. Excellent indeed. "What exactly should we be looking for?" Koizumi asked rather blithely. Next to him was Nagato, who was periodically moving her cup to her mouth. Haruhi slurped up the last few drops of her iced coffee before brushing her hair behind her ear. "Anything that defies common sense. Anything that looks suspect. Any person that seems mysterious. Yes, discovering the location of a distortion in space-time or an alien masquerading as a human would be good." I almost spit out the mint tea in my mouth. "Oh?" Asahina had a similar expression next to me. Nagato looked the same as always, though. "I see," Koizumi said. "Do you really understand?" "So basically, we should search for actual aliens, time travelers, and espers, or any signs they may have left behind. I understand perfectly." Koizumi's face was rather cheerful. "Yes, you shall promise, Koizumi. That's exactly right. Kyon, you should learn to be as understanding as he is. Don't feed his ego too much." Koizumi returned my hateful glare with a smile. Shall we get going? Leaving the bill in my hand, Haruhi strode out of the cafe. I don't remember how many times I've said this already, but I'll say it again. Good grief. This seriously isn't a date. If you go off somewhere to play, I'll strangle you. For a farewell, Haruhi marched off with Koizumi and Nagito following behind her. Using the station as a base, Haruhi's team went east while Asahina and I were supposed to search west. Search for what? What do we do? Asahina held her purse as she watched the other three leave before looking up at me. I wanted to take her home with me right then. I pretended to think it over. Well, there's no point in standing here, so why don't we just walk around somewhere? Okay. She obediently followed me. The way she quickly jumped away when our shoulders accidentally brushed as she hesitantly walked alongside me painted quite the picture of innocence. We walked north along a nearby riverbed for no particular reason. The cherry trees would have been pink with petals a month ago, but now it's just a disheartening riverside path. The place was perfect for strolling along the river, so we passed a number of families and couples. From a stranger's point of view, we would have looked like a close pair of lovers. They wouldn't expect us to be a couple of fools on a search who don't even know what they're looking for. This was the first time I've ever walked around like this. Like this? All alone with a boy. It's very surprising. You've never gone out with anyone before? I haven't. Really? But you probably have guys asking you out all the time. Well, she hung her head shyly. But I can't. I'm not allowed to get involved with anyone. At least not in this. She suddenly became very quiet. Three couples looking like they didn't have a care in the world passed behind us before she spoke again. Kyung? I was counting the number of leaves floating by in the river when her voice brought me back into the real world. Asahina looked at me with a brooding expression on her face. She then spoke in a firm voice. I have something to tell you. I could see the determination glimmering in her dull eyes. She sat next to me on a bench under the cherry trees, but she was finding it hard to start talking. After mumbling things like, where do I start? I'm terrible at explaining things, and you might not believe me. Asahina eventually caught herself and said, I do not belong in this epoch. I came from further in the future. I can't tell you exactly when and which time plane I come from, and I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. The information about the future that could be revealed to people in the past is severely restricted. I was required to undergo mental conditioning and receive mandatory hypnotism before boarding the trans-time vehicle. So if I try to say anything beyond what's necessary, I will automatically be blocked. Please keep that in mind as you listen. Asahina spoke. Time cannot be viewed as something that flows continuously. Rather, time is an accumulation of punctuated planes. I am already lost. Let's see. Picture it in this animation. It looks like it's moving, but it's actually composed of a sequence of still frames. Time can be considered a similar kind of digital phenomena. Would it be easier to understand if I compare it to a flipbook? Breaks exist between one time and another time, though their rate of occurrence is close to zero. That is why time appears to have no breaks in continuity. Time travel means moving in a three-dimensional direction across accumulated time planes. Being from the future, my presence on this time plane is similar to that of an extra picture added into a flipbook. Because time has no continuity, even if I tried to change history in this epoch, those changes wouldn't be reflected in the future. The changes would only affect up until the end of this time plane. If you scribble on one part of a flipbook with hundreds of pages, the story won't change, right? Time isn't like analog in this river. Every moment is a digital phenomenon made of accumulated time planes. Do you understand now? I considered if I should press my hand against my forehead. I ended up doing it. Time plane, digital, I didn't care too much about those things, but a time traveler? Asahina stared at the edge of her sandals. The reason I came to this time plane was because a couple with two children passed by, their shadows falling across us. It was 3 years ago. A large time quake was detected. 3 years ago if you count from the current time, back around when you and Suzumiya became middle school students. After arriving in the past to investigate the matter, we were shocked. No matter what we tried, we were unable to go further back in time. Again with the 3 years ago business, huh? The conclusion was that a large time fault had appeared between time planes, but we couldn't figure out why the fault was limited to this epoch. We only learned the possible reason recently for the future I come from. And the reason is, don't tell me it's that. Unfortunately, my wish wasn't granted. Suzumiya, Asahina said the dreaded word. We found her in the center of the time warp. Don't ask how we discovered this. It goes into classified information, so I'm unable to explain any further. But it is certain. Suzumiya was the one who sealed the path to the past. I don't really think Haruhi is capable of something like that. We didn't think so either. Truth be told, we are still unable to explain how a single human was able to interfere with time planes. It's a mystery, and Suzumiya is unaware that she's doing any of this. She has no idea that she was the origin of a timequake. I was sent to observe if any new time variations will appear near Suzumiya. I can't think of a good word for it, but it was like surveillance. Silence was my response. You probably don't believe any of this. Not exactly, but why are you telling me this? Because you're the person chosen by Suzumiya. Asahina turned her whole upper body towards me. The details are classified, so I can't explain any further. However, you are probably an important person to Suzumiya. Every action she performs has a reason behind it. Nagato and Koizumi are... Those people are extremely similar to me. I never would have expected Suzumiya to assemble us in such a precise fashion. Do you know what they are, Asahina? That's classified information. What happens if Haruhi is just left alone? That's classified. And wait, if you're from the future, you should know what's going to happen. That's classified. What will happen if I tell Haruhi everything? That's classified. I'm sorry I can't tell you, especially since I don't have enough authority right now. Asahina looked apologetic with a downcast look on her face. It's okay if you don't believe me, I just wanted to let you know. I just heard something similar a few days ago in that empty, silent apartment room. I'm sorry. Perhaps seeing my silence and worried about what I was thinking, Asahina's eyes became clouded. About suddenly telling you all this. I don't really mind. First, there was something telling me she was an artificial human of alien creation. Now, a time traveler shows up? How am I supposed to believe all of this? Feel free to let me know. As I placed my hand on the bench, I happened to touch Asahina's hand. Our pinkies rarely touched, yet she tore her hand away like she'd been shocked. She looked down again. We continued to watch the river in silence. An unknown amount of time had passed. Asahina, yes? Could we put this all on hold? Just to set the matter of whether or not I believe you aside and just put this on hold. Okay. Asahina smiled. A brilliant smile. That's fine. For now, please continue to act normally around me. I'm counting on you. Asahina placed 3 fingers on the bench and bowed deeply. That's a bit excessive. May I ask you one thing? What is it? Please tell me your real age. That's classified information. She smiled mischievously. Afterward, we just meandered around town. Haruhi had firmly reminded me this wasn't a date, but I really couldn't care less after what I just heard. We window shopped around some trendy boutiques, bought some soft serve to eat as we walked, and browsed through stalls with used women's accessories. In other words, we spent the time doing things a normal couple would do. If we had held hands on top of that, I could have died and gone to heaven. My cell phone rang. The caller was Haruhi. Reassemble at noon in front of the station like earlier. She hung up. I checked my watch. 11:50. We couldn't make it in time. Suzumiya? What'd she say? We're supposed to reassemble, apparently. We'd best hurry. I wonder if Haruhi would react if we showed up arm in arm. She'd probably be pissed. Asahina buttoned up her cardigan as she curiously looked at me. Results? After we got there 10 minutes late, this was the first thing out of Haruhi's mouth. She looked to be in a bad mood. Anything? Nothing. Were you even looking? Are you sure you weren't just wandering around? Mikuru? Asahina shook her head. What about you? Did you find anything? Haruhi fell silent. Behind her, Koizumi had a cool look on his face, and Nagato stood blankly. Let's have lunch and plan for the afternoon. You want to keep going? As we were eating lunch at a hamburger place, Haruhi told us to split into groups again. She pulled out the 5 toothpicks she had taken from the cafe. Resourceful gal. Koizumi quickly drew his. I drew unmarked again. Sickeningly white teeth. I got the feeling he never stopped smiling. Me too. Asahina showed me the toothpick she drew. What about you, Kyon? Marked, unfortunately. Haruhi directed Nagato to draw a toothpick with an increasingly irritated expression on her face. As a result of the drawing, I ended up with Nagato and the other 3 were together. Haruhi glared at her unmarked toothpick the way you would glare at a bitter enemy. She then looked at me, then Nagato, munching away at a cheeseburger and puckered her lips like a pelican's bill. What is she trying to say? Meet in front of the station at 4. You'd better find something this time. She noisily slurped down the rest of her shake. This time we split up searching north and south. Nagato and I were responsible for the south side. Asahina waved her small hand at me before she went on her way. It made me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And so there I was, standing amidst the early afternoon bustle in front of the station. What do we do? Nagato was silent. Want to get going? Once I started walking, she followed suit. I was starting to grow accustomed to how to deal with her. Nagato, about what you said the other day. What? I've started to feel a little like I can believe you. I see. Yeah. We continued to walk around the station in silence, with a hollow atmosphere in pursuit. Don't you have any normal clothes? What do you usually do on days off? Are you having fun right now? Well, that's pretty much how it went. This pointless walking around was starting to get on my nerves, so I took Nagato to the library. The main library was closer to the seashore, but there is a new library near the station that had been constructed on land that had developed during a government expansion project. I don't really borrow books, so I've never been inside. I was planning on sitting down for a break if there was a sofa or something, but while there were sofas, they were all taken. Damn bored people, don't you have somewhere else to go? As I looked around the library discouraged, Nagato floated towards the bookshelves like a sleepwalker. I'll leave her alone. I used to read a lot. In my early elementary school days, I would read every children's book my mother borrowed from the library from front to back. The books were of varying genres, but I recall that I found them all interesting, yet I don't remember any of them in detail. When was it that I stopped reading? Lost interest in reading? I drew from the bookshelf whichever book my eyes happened to fall upon and flipped through the pages before placing it back on the shelf and repeating the process. I didn't think that with so many books it would be hard to find one that looked interesting without having prior knowledge about it. And with such thoughts in mind, I wandered the shelves for a book. When I looked for Nagato, I spotted her standing in front of a bookshelf near a wall, reading a book so thick it could serve as a dumbbell. She must really love thick books. I spotted some old guy who had been flipping through the sports page, getting up from a sofa, so I slipped into the open spot with a randomly selected novel in hand. It's pretty futile to try and read a book if you don't actually want to read, and I soon found myself battling an inevitable onslaught of drowsiness. I quickly fell against the overwhelming waves of enemy attacks and drifted off. My back pocket vibrated. What? I jumped up. When the other people looked pointedly at me, I recalled that I was in a library. I wiped the drool off my chin and headed outside. I placed the cell phone with its vibration mode in full action to my ear. Do you realize what time it is now, you moron? A deafening voice pierced my eardrums. That cleared my head. Sorry, I just woke up. What? You lazy bum. You're the one person I don't want calling me a dumbass. I checked my watch. 4:30. We were supposed to meet up at 4, I think. Get your ass back here within 30 seconds. Don't be ridiculous. As she rudely hung up on me, I put my cell phone back in my pocket and walked into the library. Nagato was easy to find. She was standing still in front of the first bookshelf I spotted, reading some encyclopedia-like book. This was when the struggle began. In order to move Nagato, who, when reading, is apparently rooted to the floor, I had to get her a library card so she could borrow the book, all the while ignoring the flood of calls from Haruhi. When Nagito, carefully holding a philosophy book penned by someone with a very complicated name, and I got back to the station, we were met with 3 people with 3 different reactions. Asahina, looking exhausted, sighed a smile at us. Koizumi shrugged in an exaggerated motion. Haruhi looked like she had just chugged a bottle of Tabasco sauce. Late. Penalty, she said. My treat again, huh? In the end, after yielding no results or satisfaction and wasting time and money like no one's business, today's outdoor activity came to a close. I'm exhausted. Suzumiya walked really fast. It was all I could do just to keep up, Asahina said before taking a breath just as we were splitting up. Then she got on her tiptoes and whispered into my ear, Thanks for listening for what I had to say today. She quickly backed off and smiled shyly. Does everyone in the future smile so gracefully? With a cute bye of farewell, Asahina walked off. Koizumi lightly patted my shoulder. Today was quite fun. Indeed, Suzumiya is every bit the interesting person I expected. I regret that I was unable to be in a group with you today. Perhaps another time. Koizumi also left with that aggravating easy smile of his. Nagito had vanished long ago, which left Haruhi glaring at me. What exactly were you doing today? Beats me. What exactly was I doing? That kind of mindset won't do. It looks like she's seriously pissed. Then what about you? Did you discover anything interesting? Haruhi bit her lower lip with a light grunt. She might have bitten her lip off if I hadn't said something. Well, they're not careless enough to let you find them in one day. Haruhi glanced at me after my follow-up before quickly turning away. The day after tomorrow we'll hold a review of today's behavior. She then turned around and walked off without looking back once, quickly bending into the crowd. I figured that I should get going and head to the bank, only to find out my bike wasn't there. Instead, there was a sign saying, Your illegally parked bicycle has been confiscated on a nearby lamppost.